Hello again, YouTubers. Today I'm going to start a new type of video sequence. I'm calling them my briefs. No, not those kind of briefs. But they are meant to be short videos to cover an important or interesting topic within 5 to 10 minutes. Today will be the first of that sequence, but it'll be specific to the security area. That is the computer/information security area. And it will cover the topic of accounts. Most of you out there are probably running a Windows operating system on your computer. Some are running Linux, some are running the Apple operating system, and maybe even others. They all generally have accounts, at least a modern operating system does, and this video will cover the concept that applies to all of them. This is probably the most important video that I've put up to date. Let me first get on to the computer that I last installed Windows on. I had separate videos for that. As a matter of fact, this topic was covered on one of the advanced configuration videos that I've done previous, but I'm going to go into it in a little more depth this time. What I'm starting here is with a freshly loaded Windows 10 installation, similar to what I showed in one of my previous videos. All I have is one account, the initial one set up during the initial questioning. It has an account that's named David. It has a password, and by default it's the administrator since it's the only account on the system. So the first thing I'm going to do is run the control panel. Now, even though I created a link to the control panel as one of my tuning steps that I do when I install Windows, I'm not going to use this. I'll show you the full way to get to it just in case you haven't done that yet, because right now the system is extremely vulnerable. It can be attacked very quickly if I click on anything on the network. Come down here to Start, and then I go down to Windows System. You will see one of the choices, the second one in this case, that is the control panel. So I'll click on that, and I will click on User Accounts. In User Accounts, I have just David. As I mentioned before, it is an administrative account and it is password protected as indicated here. So I'm going to do Manage Another Account. First thing I'm going to do is create a David admin account. I'm going to pick Other Users. I'm going to add a new account entirely. I do not have the person's sign in. Click on that. And I'm going to, again, it prompts you a second time in a different way, add a user without a Microsoft account. And so now I have to go ahead and give it a name. I'm going to call it David. I like to use _admin so I can clearly see it in the list of the accounts later on when I want to use it. Of course, I'm going to give it a password. I have to enter it twice. And in a future video, I'm going to talk specifically about good passwords versus bad passwords. So now I have a David under admin account. Now by default, it's set up as a local account. So I'm going to go back, change account type, and I'm going to make it a full administrator. By default, when you add a new account to Windows 10, it will come across as a standard user, which is what you should be running at. What I also suggest you do is create a backup to your regular account. So I would add another David account, but that's going to be a standard user in addition to the changing of an account that I'll do here as well. And I'm going to call this David the number 2. I'm going to use my same password that the David account has because it's meant to be a replication. I'll explain that in a minute. That is a local account as well. It is not an administrator. So if I go here to modify another account, I backed up a little bit on the original control panel to this part so you see all 3 accounts. Now right now you see I have David, which is a local account but an administrator. I have David admin, also a local account administrator, and David 2, which is a local account but it's not listed as an administrator, but it is password protected. So I'm going to change the account type and I'm going to notice that it automatically clicks standard, so it defaults to that, which is good. In any case, make sure that that's the one. It doesn't say administrator by default. Now, some operating systems actually give you more choices than that. They give you things like super user, developer, and several other types. So now the only one that's administrator is David under admin. The other two are standard accounts. Now, why did I make a second one? Well, the main thing this will protect you against is your computer being attacked by some sort of virus or worm or ransomware. The only thing that can be corrupted if you're not the administrator when logged in is your profile, because that you have full rights to. Now, if you have a network drive that you have write access to, it can also corrupt that. So just be aware of mounting network drives or mounting USB backup drives. Those are not things you should normally do without thinking them through when you're using any account, but especially one where you're either looking at your email, browsing the internet. So now we are done. But what I will do is go ahead and sign out and log into the administrative account. Click in the background and I see all the three accounts listed. And if I logged into either David or David2, they have the same password and they will have the same privileges. They will have different copies of their profile and they wouldn't be able to overwrite each other because they themselves are not administrators. The admin, however, could get to everything. So let me jump right to that one because that's the important one right now. That's the point I'm trying to make. Let me type in my administrative password. It's going to go through normal Windows 10 prompts for a new account. Also, your David and David2 or whatever you call yours, you should alternate between those accounts every so often to make sure that you have what you need in both of them. If you install new software, the Windows Office, it will wind up getting installed in both of them. Log out of your regular account. Don't just type in the password for the administrator. Log out of your user account and log into the administrator before you install anything. There is other software that I had installed when I was the administrator as David, and you'll see those if I go to Start. You'll see all the other software that may have been installed. But what I do want to do is, then you may be in here and not realize it. So what I like to do, I created a special JPEG image. What I'm going to do, let me open it up first so you can see what it looks like. It's just a big blank warning message in a JPEG form. By the way, feel free, if you want at this point, to just do a screen capture of this. And I'm going to right click on it. And I'm going to set as the desktop background. That way, whenever you're in this account, you'll know that you have powers that could really corrupt the system if you're not careful. This way you always know you're here, and if you go back to your normal account, right, this will stay until you pick some other background every time you log in. If we log out, which I always say log out, never leave yourself logged in, sign out, and then go back to one of your other two at least. Sometimes you want to make more than two depending on how much you've had issues with in the past, but I'll just stick with that for now. Type in my password for David, and if I go back and forth between the accounts, but this one has no privileges. If I go back and forth between accounts, then I will see whatever I set the desktop to, which is why we created, as I mentioned earlier, a second user account. I think that's it for this brief. Well, once again, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please do me a favor and help support this channel by clicking on the subscribe. You will not be bothered by YouTube or me by pushing that subscribe button unless you further select that you would like notifications. And that's done with the web page with the little bell or on a portable device with the pop-up that you'll probably see after you subscribe. But it will help us a lot. So I really would appreciate it if you do that. Thank you so much for watching.